So move forward. Speaking of like what's going on, as everyone knows, if you don't know, the pretty much the CARES Act, all that stuff is about to expire. It's about to be wild shit this weekend because the Senate just went home for 3 days. They had a 3 day weekend and didn't pass anything. But at the same time, when Jesse plays this video real quick, you can see like who else who got the money, who got some money. So
a claim spreading in some viral messages says millionaires are getting $1 million stimulus checks. But is it true? To find out, we had our Verify team investigate. Here's our Jason Puckett.
Tweets like this one from actor Don Cheadle claim 43,000 millionaires will get an average $1.6 million from the stimulus bill. So we're verifying, is this true and how would that be possible? Our sources here, the CARES Act itself, along with data from the Joint Committee on Taxation, a nonpartisan body of Congress. There are two parts of the bill that people point to. On page 193 of the CARES Act, there's a, quote, modification for net operating losses. And then on page 205, there's the, quote, modification of credit for prior year. Combined, these two sections of the bill changed tax law in 2020. They let a certain type of business owner, like real estate investors, for instance, use their financial losses in recent years to lower the amount of taxes they will owe in 2020. Basically, qualifying people will pay less on their taxes in 2020. Now, the Joint Committee on Taxation, or JCT, explains the reasoning a bit. People are expected to lose a lot of money in 2020 because of COVID-19. These tax cuts would, in theory, help them keep more money and offset the loss. But the changes affect some groups more than others. The JCT sent this letter to Senator Sheldon Whitehouse and Representative Lloyd Doggett last week. It breaks down who gets these cuts and how much. This will affect people in all income brackets, but the largest group is those making more than $1 million each year. The JCT estimates that about 43,000 people with more than $1 million in income will see a combined $70.3 billion tax break in 2020. Now that averages to about $1.6 million per person. So yeah, we can verify these claims are correct. Changes to the tax law in the CARES Act are estimated to lower taxes for about 43,000 people who make $1 million or more in income. And the total averages out to about $1.6 million per person. A few important notes: this isn't a lump check or payment, just a reduction of taxes in 2020. And a reminder that these are just estimates. It's possible they could change if the pandemic's effects on the economy also change.
So pretty much,
if you would like us to verify
rich
something,
people got help in all different kinds of ways. Tax breaks, loans, all kinds of ways. They gotten help, all different dimensions. It's just, I'm just showing you another example of what people got. Billionaires and millionaires are gotten out of the pandemic while unemployment, while they went home for three days, pretty much. So this is like an example of what's happening.
I really want to drive this point home, because all we're hearing from certain politicians on a certain side of the aisle is how it's so fucking horrible that American families are staving off abject misery and terror because they're getting $2,400 a month, which adds up to about 30,000. I think somebody said 28.8. I believe that was Waffles when we did the calculations last show. We're talking about for the year $28,800, and you're gonna whine over $28,800 when you're serving up an average of over $1.5 million per millionaire. The people who don't need a bailout,
and that's
you're
one.
giving
That's
them
one
the
of the
most
bailouts
money,
they
but
got.
you're going to complain. But your complaint is that we're going to torpedo the country if the 99% are not miserable every single second of every single day. That's what the fuck that sounds like to me. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know if I'm not being balanced.
I know Jesse can play this clip real quick. Like it's pretty much reporting from home.
Meanwhile, money drying up for the unemployed, and rent now is due again in just 4 days from now. Talks are continuing in Washington, D.C. about extending benefits for the jobless, but there is no deal quite yet. WPTV News Channel 5's Matt Cesney takes a closer look at the difficulties that lie ahead.
It's a major hit.
Stephen Porto is trying to figure out how he'll get by without the $600 a week in federal unemployment money.
I was watching the news last night, and they were saying that, they're either going to do away with it or they're going to cut it drastically because they're paying people not to work.
The Boca Raton man has been laid off from his restaurant job in Delray since March, and he, like millions of others, are now waiting on what Congress will do next.
We have to get more money into people's pockets.
Congresswoman Lois Frankel, who's up for re-election, spoke with us over Zoom. She says balancing a financial stimulus package against the federal deficit is something Democrats and Republicans will need to square away their differences on, as the COVID pandemic shows no signs of going away.
Democrats are not coming at this.
It's differences, but
it's our way or the highway. That is not. We cannot afford to do that for the sake of the people of this country, because people are hurting, and so I think both sides will end up having to compromise.
And it leaves people like Stephen waiting.
There's a lot of people that are looking for work, like myself, that need that money to survive, pay our rents and pay our bills.
In West Palm Beach, Matt Cesny, WPTV, News Channel 5.
Now, we also reached out to Republican lawmakers on this, including Congressman Brian Mast. He was not available for an interview late today.
Oh, shit. Well, we couldn't get to interview him either today, so unfortunately he's really hard to reach, the asshole. So that's pretty much what's going down, that's all I can say is just like, you just have to watch out for each other, and like if you work at a place, some ways working for a small business, working for a small boss right now might be like the best thing right now for some people, because you have that more down to earth relationship with someone, and like you're working, compared to, I can't imagine right now working for a giant corporation and like they're telling me to go into the office right now. It's just, it's a situation that a lot of Americans have.
But there's a silver lining to all of this, though.
Yeah.
Congress gets to enjoy a really relaxing 3-day weekend. That's
they're gonna have the jacuzzis. They get to go in the pool. They get to like get tan. Chuck Schumer gets a tan, get tan lines and stuff. That's gonna happen.
Nah, he'll just be a little bit closer to skin cancer. Let's be real.
Congress should be fired. Yeah, they all should be fired.